And let me start by introducing Dave Burns, the host of Burns & Gamble on 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports Station. Thanks, Dave, for being here. Greg Moore, who's been here with us throughout from AZ Central in the Arizona Republic, and Shane Dale over here on my right, your left, from ABC 15 Sports, your digital sports writer. Appreciate you guys.
You got
So,
fighter.
topic number one, clearly the Warriors survive this thing and force a Game 6 in Oakland. Dave, let me start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tremendous effort down the stretch. There was a time there with about 2 minutes left in the game where it looked like Kawhi Leonard had effectively taken this thing over, eliminated the Warriors, and the momentum. I mean, they were talking about the building shaking. We were talking in the back about wanting to be inside the building to kind of feel the energy. The Warriors are champions for a reason. Steph Curry is who he is for a reason. And in that moment, to dig deep, get those threes, Clay, Curry, what they did down the stretch, that's why the Warriors are who they are. They're going to be tough to kill, and they were really tough to kill tonight for the Toronto Raptors.
Right.
Ugly game. Right? I mean, you just look at the shooting percentages, right? Steph was 5 for 14 from 3. Clay was 9 for 21 on the game. The game just had this really odd rhythm. But the thing that really stands out to me was when Boogie Cousins came in. He didn't play.
When Kevin got hurt,
Kevin Durant
right?
goes out with the injury. DeMarcus Cousins comes in. Golden State goes on like a 9-0 run. Cousins really provided Golden State with a boost. But it's like Dave said, Golden State's not going away. These guys are the champs for a reason. Exactly like Dave said. Kawhi Leonard hits a 3, hits a 2, hits a 3. He goes on a 10-0 run by himself to give Toronto its first lead of the game. Golden State just comes right back. So you've just got to know that these guys are going to keep coming. You got to try to take them out. Toronto missed a big opportunity here.
Shane, what do you think?
You know how we talked about how I won't believe the Warriors are going to lose this series until I see it at the last second. It came down to that in this game, and the Raptors had a chance. Here's why I'm not a big fan of win probability. ESPN likes to do win probability like for each moment of the game. The Warriors were at about 80% late in the third quarter. The Raptors were at 92.6% with 2 minutes left. It means absolutely nothing. And again, as soon as the ball left Klay Thompson's hands there, you knew it was going in. You knew the Warriors were going to be a tough out. And now at this point, is anyone in doubt the Warriors are going to come back and win this whole thing at this point?
Yeah.
Yes, I am in doubt that the Warriors are going to come back and win this whole thing.
Without Kevin Durant, I'm in doubt too. I'd almost bet a house payment at this point there's going to be a Game 7 when it's all said and done. I can't imagine. Momentum's clearly shifted back to them. They're going back home. They get one more game in that building now. But I still think, if you tell me Kevin Durant is going to be back and play, I might tell you that they'll win Game 7. Without him, I still think the Raptors win.
And Dave, let's go to topic 2, and that is the decision to play Kevin Durant, who had been hurt back in May 8th, right, against the Houston Rockets with that Achilles or calf injury, and we saw that get blown out. But before we get there, I want to bring that up because he was asked specifically, do you have any regrets about bringing Kevin Durant back, and he deferred on that one. Dave, let me start with you.
I would think would be a question that the head coach would be able to answer, right? I mean, that's. I think he ducked that one a little bit because that's why is that a general manager answer? That should be a coaching answer. You're the coach. You made the decision to play him. I love Steve Kerr. I was surprised that he punted on that answer. The first one, I'll give you the injury update. Bob was with him, okay.
Right.
But the regret about playing him, I think that's a coach's answer. I don't think that's a GM's answer.
Right?
All I'm thinking about right now is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, the injury.
I mean, it looked like he blew his Achilles out.
It does,
I don't know what happened, but it looked like he blew his Achilles out. I don't care what Steve Kerr said. All I care about is how is Kevin. Right, listen, this guy had nothing to play for. He's got 2 championships. He's got 2 finals MVPs. This team is a dynasty regardless of what happens in this series. It meant so much to him, and I wrote this for the Arizona Republic during the game. It's on AZ Central right now. You can find it on the website. Of course, it's a quick plug. I work there. This guy played for no reason other than he loved the game, other than he loved his teammates. That's all I'm thinking about right now. I hope that guy's ready to play ball next season.
But it's interesting what Steve Kerr said when he put Klay Thompson in the game the other night because he said we're holding Klay out because I don't want to have any regret for putting him out there and him re-injuring that hamstring, right? So now tonight, no comment on the injury to Kevin Durant.
And I mentioned last night, I just thought of the fact that I mentioned that if Kevin Durant, as long as he's not risking a bigger injury, he should come back. Well, obviously in that case, he shouldn't have come back. Let me mention another quick moment in this game that was really important. The Raptors took a 6-point lead with about 3 minutes left. They had the ball. They called a timeout. And then that led to the comeback for Golden State. I think that's a moment that's going to be talked about for a long time. I just want to throw that in there. But as far as Durant goes, I mean, obviously he came back too soon, but hindsight's 50-50. Obviously Portland should have drafted Kevin Durant instead of Greg Oden if we're going to do hindsight. So
you know what else is interesting to me, guys, and Dave, let me go to you on this one, is we were talking during the game, Kevin Durant came back knowing he could have risked further injury. He knew that coming into the game, right? And he still wanted to play.
I mean, look, we were talking about this on our show a little bit earlier. I mean, this was a moment for Kevin Durant to do something he hasn't really done for Golden State since he's been there. That's kind of bailed him out, right? I mean, the gravy training and all of the talk over the last few years that he's been there, that he was kind of there when the wheel went round and he joined a team that already had championship aspirations. This was his opportunity to save them from this 3-1 hole, and for him to come back with that risk, I felt so bad for him because he's gotten such a bad rap the last few years. This is a moment where it kind of tested his mettle and his guts and what he's about, and to go out there and do it and have it end like this, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to watch. I felt bad for him because I don't know what he lost going into next year. Right. How much did he lose? How many options did he lose? How much money did he lose? I don't know. I hope it was worth it for him. I hope it was worth it for him to give it a go the way he did, because it was pretty gutsy for him to do what he did.
You think he loses anything, Greg?
I don't think he loses all that. See, he just opts back in, right? He just stays with Golden State another year. Yeah. If it's an Achilles, he'll be out about a year, a calendar year, maybe less, right? I don't know what the rehab's going to look like.
It's tough.
Potentially, he could come back late in the season. Potentially, he could come back for a stretch run in the playoffs. I think it just goes to show that he did something that I think all fans would want from their favorite athletes, right?
Yes.
He showed that it meant as much to him as it meant to the guy in the cheap seats cheering for the thing. It meant as much to Kevin to win this game, to have an opportunity to win this series, as it did for the guy on the couch who's got a couple bucks on the game. I don't gamble. Folks love their sport. He showed that love by playing with everything to lose, nothing to gain.
Shane, the other thing people talked about was the fans cheering when he got hurt, and then the interpretation of what they were doing in Toronto.
I think that was way overblown. I think what you had was a handful of fans, and Greg made this point when we were talking earlier. A handful of fans were being silly, a little too amped up with emotion, were cheering, and I think they got shouted down. And Channing Frye, who I believe was there tonight, said fans started chanting Kevin Durant's name. I think it was during the commercial break. Yeah. So I think it was just a few bad apples, and everyone's talking about, well, Canadians aren't that friendly. It's ridiculous.
I was listening to the game driving home. You could actually hear the KD chants from the Toronto crowd through the mics that were there, through my car speakers. So it sounded like at first there was sort of that awkward, and then I think even a couple of the Toronto players even were like, hey, come on, settle down, the guy just hurt himself. So just tough. I mean, he knew what was on the line, and he decided to do it anyway for all the reasons Greg said, and it cost him.
We have a lot more to talk about here coming up on our sports front, including, how about those D-backs? I'm back with our panel tonight. Dave Burns from 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports Station. Greg Moore from Arizona Republic and azcentral.com. And Shane Dale with ABC 15 Sports. Guys, I want to get your take first. And Greg, let me start with you on the reaction to Bob Myers' comments and his emotion talking about Kevin Durant.
I'm angry. Bob Myers' comments lead me to believe that Bob Myers should have stepped up and protected Kevin Durant from Kevin Durant. Bob Myers should have stepped in there and said, Kevin, we love you. You've done great things for this organization. We wouldn't be who we are, where we are without you. I need you to sit down, and this is out of your hands. This isn't about your reps. This isn't about you. This isn't about anything other than we're doing the right thing for our player. I believe that somebody above Kevin should have stepped in and stopped that.
But he said it was a collective decision.
It ain't no collective decision. There's no such thing as a collective decision. At some point, there's somebody in charge, and Bob Myers is the man in charge. If they had even an inkling, even a hint that this could be an Achilles injury, something that could take him out for a year. And by the way, there have been huge advances in medical science. And by the way, there's going to be a huge opportunity for Kevin Durant to come back and be as good as ever based on what we now know about how to heal an Achilles injury, assuming that this is a worst-case scenario. But there's no collective decision. It comes down to one person eventually, and at this point, that would be Bob Myers. He said, blame me. I'm blaming him. I'm angry.
Got to imagine this is going to be a worst-case scenario for Kevin Durant. I mean, the trainers, the medical advances Greg was talking about, you can physically examine another human being and kind of have a pretty good sense of what's going on. I have to imagine Bob has a pretty good sense of what's going on with Kevin Durant, and that's why you saw the emotion. That's why you saw how tough this was for him to face. And I think now we have our answer why Steve Kerr deferred to Bob Myers when it came to, hey, I'm going to have Bob address this because Bob is obviously falling on the sword for this whole decision and why this all came down.
Shane, were you surprised that he said, listen, people don't understand Kevin Durant as a human being? Were you surprised when you talked about that?
Well, it's funny because we actually had a feature a week ago, kind of a different side of Kevin Durant, who's got a great friend in the Valley who with Down syndrome, who's like one of his best friends, and he's seen a different side of Kevin Durant. So we know that exists. Durant just posted this on Instagram. He said, Dub Nation going to be loud as F for Game 6. I'm hurting deep in the soul right now. I can't lie, but seeing my brothers get this win was like taking a shot of tequila. I got new life, LOL. Hashtag Dubs.
That's odd. I don't feel like I have a new shot of life when I have a shot of tequila, but that's just
That's him.
It's a tough night for everybody. It's a tough night for the Warriors. And I want to talk about the Coyotes quickly because we're hearing today that Alex Morello may be the new owner as soon as next week, Dave.
Yeah, and based off of his history, the suggestion would be to keep the Coyotes here and try to revitalize the brand. When you look at sort of his business history and what he's done, that's what he does. Now, I don't know if that's what he's going to do with the Coyotes, but everything about him and how he operates seemed to suggest that could be what his MO would be for the Coyotes. We're going to have to wait and see what that's.
He's a self-made billionaire, right? This guy, Greg, comes in with money. He's got money to spend.
So, but for me, the real question is, does Houston go away? Do the Houston rumors go away? Doug alluded to it. He has a reputation for being somebody who caters to the Hispanic market through his TV and radio holdings and through what he did with a California pizza chain, changing the menu to cater specifically to that demographic. Well, Houston's got the huge demographic, the same as Phoenix does, right? So I don't know that that makes that go away. My one first question would be, do you plan to stay in Phoenix and why? And then if he says yes, then I'm like, so when are you getting back downtown then?
You know, the Coyotes have talked about how the chief thing that they want a new owner is someone who's going to keep the Coyotes in the Valley. So I can't imagine he's planning on moving the team.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. I appreciate it. Dave Burns, Greg Moore, Shane Dale. We'll be back with more right after this.